Larry here. I'm back to another reading vlog. I just finished my other reading vlog. I wanted to quickly start this one. So, I am doing, it's the TBR and Beyond, like, beach challenge. They have, like, a board game, and you, like, roll dice, and you pick books. So that's how I've been doing most of my reading this month. So the next, prompt was Crushes. So I wound up picking up Small Town Hearts by Lily Valley, or Val, I think. And I really know nothing about this. I know this is about a girl. It's a summer contemporary. She's working in her mom's diner, I think, and she winds up meeting a summer boy. But the rule is never fall for the summer boy, and I'm sure that doesn't go according to plan. But it's really, really short, so I'm hopeful that I will enjoy it. So that's where I am right now. I did wind up finishing season 1 of Stranger Things, and I want to start season 2 of Stranger Things. So I may read a little bit more and catch up on some booktube videos that I have neglected. But then I'm probably going to dive into season 2 of Stranger Things, and I will see you guys later for another update. Bye. Hey, it's Larry here. I'm back. It is Tuesday, and I just woke up. I just got dressed. So we're about to go run some errands, but I wanted to check in and say that I have read a little bit of Small Town Hearts. I'm now on page 46. I will admit this book is not my favorite by far. The book is a little bit weird. It basically follows this girl named Babe, and it's like her summer before she's gonna be something. She's gonna be like, she's supposed to be a freshman in college, but I'm not quite sure if she's going to college. And she's working at this cafe, and this new boy comes to town, and I think they're eventually gonna pick up a relationship. But the friendship dynamics in this book are like so weird, and I'm not sure how I feel about the friendship and what these characters are making each other do to each other. So I'm a little bit hesitant about that. But I like that she kind of lives in like a lighthouse. I like that. I do really like the boy. The friendship drama with like her two best friends is like a little bit awkward. So I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I definitely I'll definitely finish reading it unless it gets really, really boring, and then I might put it down. But I'm on page 46 right now, and I'll be sure to update you guys when I get home. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Hi guys, Lori here. I'm back. I've made a little bit more progress on Small Town Hearts. I'm now on page 144. This book is just not capturing my attention as much as I wanted. I am happy because I do like the setting. I do like the small town, but I felt like the first 50 pages of this book was just pure setup, and I wasn't invested in like any of her friends like the first half of the story. So I think it's just, and like the boy and any of that stuff just really annoyed me, and I didn't like her best friend at like all. So I'm having a hard time becoming invested in like that relationship being saved. I do like that the relationship with her and the boy seems a little bit more like realistic, and I like how there was no like communication issues. I do like that. It's just not my favorite, but I'm definitely gonna finish it. I'm gonna try to tackle a little bit more of it tonight. If I get to page 200 and I'm just not as fast, I might just pick up another contemporary, but we'll see. But so far it's like a 3-star read. I do like the small town elements, and I think her background is kind of interesting, but it's just not my favorite read so far. But I'll definitely give you guys more of an update when I make a little bit more progress. Right now I'm on page 144 of it. So that's my small update. Just checking back in. I got up to page 174 in Small Town Hearts, and I'm liking it a little bit better. I definitely do like the setting of this book, and I am liking, I'm enjoying the main character, but the situation just aren't capturing me. It's not a story that I'm literally want to turn the pages for. But I will probably finish reading it. I'm halfway done with it. But I do like the boy. I just think the drama that happened in the start was not captivating for me as a reader, and it hasn't been resolved yet. So I'm just like, oh my god, can this drama just end, because it wasn't that capturing. The writing style, I think, is just it's not as engaging as some of the other reads I normally read when I read contemporaries. I really want to read them fast, but this is just a very, very slower paced read, and I don't hate it. I just don't love it. But there are elements of this book I do like. It's just not capturing my attention the way that I wanted. One thing I do like is that this book does deal with bisexuality in a really interesting way. I'm liking how that is being represented. And I'm liking that. This also is like a very interesting story because her parents, she graduated, she's living with her parents. She's not living with her parents, she's living kind of by herself. And she's just kind of in like an interesting, I've never really read a story about a character that doesn't plan on going to college. It's very, very few and far between. So this is kind of an interesting background for that character. So I'm intrigued. I just don't think I'm as connected to the story overall as I normally am in contemporaries. But I have a thing about DNFing books, and I really don't want to DNF it, so I'm probably just going to power through and read the rest of it. But I'm probably not going to read it as fast as I read some of my other contemporaries. But that's my thoughts right now about Small Town Hearts. But yeah, I'll try to check in with you guys a little bit later. Hey guys, Lori here. I'm back. So, unfortunately, I did decide to stop reading Small Town Hearts. It's just not capturing me the way that I want to, and I honestly don't know if I'm going to pick it back up. I rarely ever DNF books. It takes a lot. But you know what? It's just when I read books in the summer, I want something that I'm really engaged in, and this book is just not doing that. I might wind up bringing it to school in the fall and giving it to one of my students, or I might wind up giving it to a friend, or I might eventually wind up reading the last 100 pages of it. It just was not capturing me the way I wanted it to, and I think it was just the writing style. The writing style was not as capturing, and I wasn't connected to the characters, and as much as I love the bisexual representation, it just wasn't capturing me as a reader. So I think I'm gonna pick up Stormcrow by Kayla Josephine. I did get this book at BEA, and I actually met her and got it signed. I honestly have no idea what this book's about. My friend Jen just told me to read it. But I guess I'll read you guys the inside flap. In the tropical kingdom of Rodair, elemental crows are a part of every aspect of life until the Illuminate Empire invades, destroying all the crows and bringing Rhodesia to its knees. Charbonite has thrown Princess Anaya into a deep depression. Her sister Kalza is busy running the kingdom after their mother's death, but all Tyla can do is think of everything she has lost, including her dream of becoming a crow rider. When Kalzi is forced to agree to a marriage between Thalia and the crown prince of Ukata, Thalia is finally spurred into action. After stumbling upon a hidden crow egg in the rubble of Rookery, she and her sister devise a dangerous plan to hatch the egg in secret while joining forces with the other conquered kingdoms to ignite a rebellion. That sounds really cool. So, I think I'm going to start reading this, and if I'm really conflicted, I might go to this, but I think this will be interesting. I haven't read fantasy in a while, and I've actually been wanting to dive into a fantasy book. Ooh, this back is awesome. This is very, very pretty. So yeah, that's what I think I'm going to read. Hopefully I'll be a little bit more motivated to read it. I just was not feeling this, and I hardly ever DNF books. The reason I have such a problem DNFing books is, like, I feel like I want to know the end, and I'll feel like reading a spoiler won't really do it for me. Like, I feel like I need to know the story, but I feel like this story in particular, I just kind of know the ending, and I'm just not motivated to spend my time right now reading it to figure it out, but that doesn't mean it's a bad book. You might really like it. It's just not capturing my attention. So that's my thoughts on Small Town Hearts. I'm going to dive into Stormcrow, and I will give you my thoughts when I make a little progress on it. So, yeah, that's my update for right now. Guys, I am just checking back in. I have been watching Stranger Things, but I have been slowly reading the Stormcrow. I'm actually really liking this book. Definitely a fantasy novel, but I'm really enjoying it. It has a lot of interesting tropes that I haven't seen in a while, but I did give you guys a summary. But basically, in the first chapter, this girl, their names are really hard to say. I think I'm going to call her Talia. I think I'm probably saying that wrong. But her society is basically built on crows, and they're like magical crows. So some crows have the power like fire, some are water, some are earth. And the night that this was, they were having a celebration, but they're also on the brink of war. So this evening, when all their crows, and it's supposed to be the hatchling day, where all the storm crows are like, or born, and then you get assigned to storm crow. Her kingdom is basically taken over. All the storm crows are killed. Her mother is killed. Her aunt is killed, and she is basically left, as in like an overtaking kingdom. But she still can like live in her kingdom. It's just that her society is basically decimated. And her sister is the one that's basically the queen now and is taking over. And she's dealing with a lot of depression. Her best friend is still there. Her best friend is like her protector. And then the neighboring kingdom that is taking her over, her sister has to give her an alliance to be married to this evil prince. So I'm really excited for that. But the one thing I'm really liking about this book so far is that they're really letting her deal with um, the depression and the loss that she's feeling. Like her home was feeling, her mother was killed, her aunt was killed. She basically lost her entire life. And I'm liking that like everything's not perfect, and I'm liking that she's still dealing with that. I definitely like the dynamics between her and her best friend. I think that that's a really interesting relationship. Normally, when you see books like this, the captain of the guard is always a boy, and then they always wind up falling in love. But I'm liking that this is a little bit different. Really liking that. But I'm loving the crow system, and I know that in the summary it says they find an egg, and I'm sure that that's gonna cause some drama. But I'm just really liking it. It's definitely a faster paced read. I'm on page 38, and it's also really really big font too, which is really nice. But I'm having a hard time putting this book down, which is so nice compared to the other book that I read. And the reason I put the other one down is I just didn't want to get into a reading slump or be not motivated. But this book I'm definitely motivated to read. I might read a couple more chapters and then dive back into Stranger Things. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Stormcrow. I'm actually really enjoying it so far. I'm so glad that my friend told me to pick it up. And let's just admire this cover. I am not sure if this is the cover you'll get if you buy it in a store, because I got this one from BEA. But it's nice. It's set in like a tropical climate, which I think is so nice because it's burning hot here right now. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Stormcrows, and I'll be sure to update you guys tomorrow with more information. Bye. Laurie here. I'm back. I actually really made some progress on the Stormcrow. I'm now on page like 70. I'm really liking this book. This book is very interesting, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm glad that I wound up picking it up. But I'm really loving how they're dealing with Talia. I think that's how you say Talia. I'm really loving how she's dealing with her life changing, and she's really dealing with all that stuff, because she says in the book, like, she's depressed. And I think that that's something that you don't ever get in fantasy novels. I think I've seen it one other time. I think that was with Sarah J. Maas in Crown of the Midnight, I think. When something happened to her and you could see her depression, but you never see depression or anxiety or stuff like that broached in like fantasy novels. I see it a lot in like contemporary novels, but not a lot in like fantasy. So I'm really liking that. I'm also really intrigued by the Prince Erickson that is in this book, because right now he's just a jerk, and I'm just like, you are so mean and you're so evil. But I'm curious to see what's going to happen. I'm loving the Stormcrow magic system that we have, that they're explaining to us. I really love the first chapter, like when they're in that world, because I think it's really, really cool. So I'm curious to see how that's going to be incorporated. And I'm just really liking it. I mean, it's a very, very fast read. It's a very, very rich world too, which I'm really enjoying. So I'm going to maybe go for a bike ride. I'm still a little bit behind on my Sarah J. Maas read for the week. I have to read like 8 chapters this week, and I'm a little bit far behind. I also really want to dive back into Geekerella by Ashley Poston. So that's my 2 listening goals for today. But I'll be sure to catch you guys up as the day goes along. I'm also hoping to make some more progress on Stranger Things Season 2. It's been a while since I've seen Stranger Things Season 2. I normally just watch like my favorite scenes, and then I just kind of like watch when the next season's gonna come out. But I'm really like making a point right now to like go through the entire season again, and then to go through Season 3 again. So it's probably gonna take me a while. But I'm really liking the season more than I remember liking the season. If you've seen Stranger Things Season 2, the characters were pretty much separate, especially 11. 11 was very, very separate through this whole entire season. But I forgot a lot of stuff that happened in this season. So right now I'm really enjoying watching that. And I'm really excited to rewatch Season 3, because I think right now Season 3 is probably my favorite. But yeah, so that's what my plans are for today, and I'll talk to you guys later for another update. Bye.
Guys, Lori here. I'm back. It is actually like almost 1:30 or past 1:30, and I did actually make a lot of reading progress overall today. I listened to 3 chapters of Empire Storms, and I just got to a very, very critical part, so I'm excited to see what happens next. And then I listened to a lot of Geekerella by Ashley Poston, and then I dived into a lot more of Stormcrow, and I'm now on page 140. This book just reads so flowing. I just love her her writing style. I think it's really interesting, and I'm loving the dynamics between all the characters because it's like a little bit like you're questioning like what's happening, like what is really going on in this story. But I'm still fascinated by the world. I love the main character so much, and I'm just loving how she's being written. Normally when you read fantasy series, these characters are always so strong and so like on point with everything, but this character is dealing with a lot of like grief and depression and anxiety. And I'm sure there's going to be elements of magic that come up, but right now she's just such a fascinating character to be in the head of. I love the Stormcrow mythology. I'm just really enjoying that part as well. I'm really excited to see what happens with that. But I'm really intrigued by Prince Erickson. He's such a interesting character, and like I'm just intrigued. Like it wouldn't shock me if he's actually kind of a good guy. It wouldn't shock me if he's evil. But I'm curious to see which way she decides to go with it because right now it's like really open-ended. I'm loving the relationship between her and her best friend, which I've said before, and I love that there's some LGBTQ representation. I'm just really liking it. I think it's a very compelling fantasy novel, and I don't normally read fantasy novels in the summer because I feel like that they could be a little bit dense. But I'm really enjoying this one. This cover, by the way, that I got is so pretty. And I'm really enjoying it. So that's my thoughts right now. I don't know what I'm going to do next. Yesterday I did a lot of prepping for school. So I don't know. I might read a little bit more. I don't know. I haven't quite got that far, but it's very, very hot today. So I did my walk. I did my bike ride. I walked right outside for a little bit, and now I can't do that because it's really, really hot. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I might do a little bit of planning for school, just a little bit. I have a couple of videos that I'm gonna watch, and maybe I'll do that. But when I come back, I will have a little bit more read, hopefully. So that's the plan anyway. Guys, Lori here. I am checking back in. It is almost 7:30 on Tuesday. And I've actually made a little more progress on Stormcrow, which I'm now on page 190. A new boy has been introduced, and I adore cinnamon roll type characters. They are like some of my favorite characters in all of YA books, and this one is definitely that. I'm really enjoying that. I'm loving the political intrigue in this book. I love the slow burn of it. I think it's really interesting. The thing that this book does very, very well is you get thrust into this world, and what Caitlin does really well is she really like makes it easy to understand. Like you get this information, but you also get it in a way that's not confusing, which I really am enjoying. But I'm really loving this world, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm loving the character dynamics. I'm loving the diversity that you could see in this book, which I think is just very, very seamless, which I'm really enjoying. And I think that all the different, all the different like countries or all the different lands or territories are super interesting. Again, I'm loving the diversity that you just see, not only in like the bisexuality or the sexuality that's coming, but also like the different types of characters that you see. I think it's really interesting, and I'm really enjoying that part of it. But this new character is definitely like warming my heart. So when I started this week, I was reading a book about crushes for the TBR and Beyond book club, but I thought I was not gonna be able to count this, but maybe I will. I don't know. But I'm really enjoying it. I'm loving this world system so much. And I do know that this is definitely a book. We're going to at least get a book 2, which I'm super happy about. But right now I'm about 190 pages in, and this book is about 330 pages, so I should be able to make some more progress on it tonight. I'm also in the middle of watching Veronica Mars and Stranger Things. Those are the two shows I'm watching right now. Yeah, so that's my plans for right now, but I'll be sure to update if I make a lot more progress tonight. But I would definitely like to get up to page maybe like 250. That's my goal. If I could get up to 250, I'd be actually super happy. But I'll talk to you guys later for another update. This is Lori here. I'm back. I actually did get some reading done on Storm of Crows, but I wanted to come up here and say that I've made a lot of progress on Empire of Storms and Geekerella. And I adore Geekerella. It is like one of my favorite contemporary books of all time. But I haven't read it since it came out. It was like I read it like 2 or 3 years ago. But my anger at getting to this part of the book, I like almost threw my iPod across the room because I'm listening to an audiobook. But oh my god, if you have not checked out this book by Ashley Poston, now's like the perfect time to read it. It's like con season, and San Diego Comic-Con is next week. It's just such a good story. It's like the perfect Cinderella retelling. I really, really am loving it. But my reread, I forgot so much of like the details of it, but I'm getting to like the last, like the ball part, we'll say. The part of the ball where everything goes to hell is where I'm at, which is in the Cinderella story. So I'm not saying what's actually going on in this story, but it's just so well done. I love these two characters individually, like, so much. I'm also in the process of starting to choose my show for next year. I know a lot of my students now watch these videos, so I won't be telling you what my show is officially until it's announced in school, which will probably be in October, but I am choosing between Honk Jr., Dear Edwina, and Schoolhouse Rock Live Jr. I also might do Frozen, but I don't know. These are like my contenders right now, but I'm debating. So I'm going to start reading through them. I'm going to start with Honk Jr. just because I really don't know this show. I was in Schoolhouse Rock Live as a kid, so that's the one I think I have the most knowledge of. But hopefully I'll get some reading done tonight after I finish watching the season finale of Season 2 of Stranger Things. I will get some reading done. But that's my plans for Attack right now. I'll definitely check in with you guys a little bit later. Hi guys, Lori here. I'm back. I did actually wind up finishing Stormcrow by Kayla Josephine. This I got from Sourcebook. It's at BEA. My cover's in my house, or I would show it to you. But this book was so good. I was so happy that I wound up picking it up. I always forget sometimes to read the hardbacks that I get from cons because they're always on like a different shelf. But I got this book signed to me and I actually really enjoyed it. I thought that it was such a perfect summer read, even though it's fantasy. There was a lot of political intrigue in it. I love the magic system. I thought the magic system was so well crafted, and I really like the main character. I love the romance that we got in it. I love like cinnamon roll type characters. I think I've said this before, but the character of Kylus, who you meet like good amount into the book, he was just adorable and I loved him. And I love the animals that we met in this book, and there was a lot of like strings tied up that I liked, and then there was other strings that like we didn't get the reveal, which I'm still waiting for, so I'm definitely gonna check out book 2. I thought the first half of the pacing was really good, and then towards the end I think the pacing had a few issues, but other than that I really enjoyed it. I loved I love the dynamic with the political marriage. And what I really loved, and I didn't realize this until the end of the book, and I'm not sure if your editions will all have this, but I'm sure that they will, especially if you get this exact edition. What I loved about this book, and I would actually even recommend, I didn't even know that this existed, but if you're reading this book, some editions do have the world of the Stormcrow, and it just talks about all the types of creature, like all the types of Stormcrows that exist. And then it gives like a breakdown of all the kingdoms, which I thought was super helpful. And I almost wish I would have known about that when I was reading, because it's a very complex world that is explained very, very easily. But just having that information in the back is like super helpful. So I wound up giving it 4.5 stars. Sorry, my pen fell. But I really enjoyed it. And then, as I've said before, I'm participating in the TBR and Beyond Reading Challenge. And the role that they had was sci-fi. So I ended up picking up Tarnished Are the Stars by Rosie Thor. This is a science fiction read from Scholastic. It comes out in October. And I think I've talked about this a couple of times on my channel, but I'm so excited to dive into this read. And I have literally read a page, but I don't know anything about it. So when I get a little bit more information, I'll definitely check you guys back in. But I'll talk to you guys later for another update. Bye. Laura here. I'm here for a small update. Sorry I didn't update yesterday. I went to a Yankee game with my dad and I wasn't get home until super late. But I did actually make a lot more progress on Tarnished Are the Stars by Rosie Thor. This is an early read from Scholastic. It doesn't come out until October, but I'm really liking it. The first 2 to 3 chapters I thought was a little bit confusing, and I reread those chapters a bunch of times. But other than that, I'm actually really liking it. It's a science fiction adventure story. It follows these 3 characters. You follow Anna, who is a character that has a metal heart. And technology in this world, it's after ours. I think it's set in 2032, or a crazy amount of time after our world died because we relied too much on technology. So they have a very, very hate or a fearful relationship of technology. But Anna's society, everyone in her society needs to eventually get a metal heart because something's causing their heart to not work. So that's one point of view. And she's known as the technician. She's like an outlaw, and she winds up helping these people get medical attention in her little community. The next perspective is Nathaniel. He is the son of the commissioner, who is basically the leader of this country. And then you follow Eliza, who is going to be Nathaniel's betrothed, and it's an arranged marriage. So you follow these 3 characters, and it's actually a really compelling story. It deals a lot with technology. It deals a lot with science, and a lot about surgery and stuff like that. I'm really loving all the characters. This definitely has queer representation. I'm really liking that. The world building at the start was a little bit here and there. I was a little bit confused. But I would say about 100 pages in, the world building got a lot more clearer, and I'm actually really enjoying it. It definitely has elements of what does it says? It's steampunky also, a little bit. I'm really the Nathaniel character. He's a very mild-mannered guy. His personality reminds me a lot of Cricket from Will and the Boy Next Door. That's just his personality. I'm really liking Anna, and I'm really liking Eliza, and I'm curious to see how all they're going to connect. But yeah, I'm about 238 pages into this, so I'm actually pretty far. I have to do some filming and some booktube stuff, but hopefully I'm going to be able to read a lot more. I'm also made headway on Stranger Things Season 3. I'm now on episodes 4 or 5, I think. I'm really loving this season, so that's good news. But I'm also listening to Geekarella by Ashley Poston, or Poston, I can never say her name correctly. But I'm hopeful to actually finish that audiobook today. That's my next big plan. But I'll talk to you guys later for another update. Bye. Hi guys, Larry here. I'm back. It just hit 7:30 on Sunday night, and I did actually wind up finishing Geekarella by Ashley Poston, or Poston, I can never say her name right. Guys, that is definitely one of my favorite contemporary books I've ever read. I think the hint of fandom, the retelling elements, the fandom life elements, the 2 main characters were incredibly awesome, and I'm so happy that I got to re-experience it. It will definitely go in my queue as one of an audiobook I will listen to over and over again, but I thoroughly enjoyed that. Sadly, because of that, I've fallen a little bit behind in my Empire of Storms reread. I hope to catch up tomorrow. And so that's what my listening plans. And also I made a lot more progress on Tarnished Are the Stars. I'm now on page 338, and I have to get up to page 372. I definitely hope to finish this tonight. I'm right at the end, and the end in this book definitely is a lot more of an info dump, because basically this book has 5 characters in it, basically main characters. You have Eliza, who is an assassin and the Queen's maiden, who's betrothed to Nathaniel, who's the commissioner's son, and then you have Anna, who's a technician. And then you have the commissioner, and then you have a queen. So right now they're all in a room together, basically at the end of the book. And a lot of stuff is being hashed out. But I'm really enjoying this world. I'm loving the queer representation. There was a lot of LGBTQ representation in this that I really liked. And I think that when young kids are actually reading this book, it would actually be a really good book for them to read, because it talks about being asexual, and I just think that information was so good to have in this type of novel, so I was really impressed with that. I really liked the fast-paced nature of it. I liked how all the three leads got like point of view chapters because I think that it really definitely had you go into it. It has elements of a CJ Redwine that I always say, like she always gives you a character that you really, really like, and then she like kind of guts your heart with them, which is always sad and always heartbreaking. But I actually really like this book. I definitely right now would say it's like a 4-star read for me. But I thought that the sciencey stuff didn't go too over my head. I wish the world building would have been a little bit stronger in the beginning. But I'll definitely let you guys know my thoughts at the end. I'll definitely finish this tonight. And then I'm gonna choose my next read. Um, I also hope to watch a couple episodes of Stranger Things tonight after I finish this. I'm so close to the end, and I normally like to finish a book when I'm like really, really close to finishing it. And then I think I'm gonna either read Ninth House or by Lee Bardugo, or I'm gonna dive into Keeper of the Lost Cities book 2. I'm still like undecided about what I do want to read, but I'll definitely check back in when I'm done with this, and give you guys my full thoughts on it. And I'll talk to you guys in a bit for another update. Bye. Hey guys, Laura here. I'm back. I'm actually here to end this reading vlog. I did wind up finishing Tarnished Are the Stars by Rosie Thor. This book does come out in October, so it's a little bit of a fall release, but I actually wound up really liking it. And I think that this is the first book I've read in a really, really long time that is just a standalone. I'd be shocked if this book gets a sequel, but I wouldn't be opposed to it. But I thought that it was a very, very clear ending. I love the science fiction trope. I love, the world was really cool. I really enjoyed the characters. I thought the story wrapped up in a nice bow. And I thought that the world just was really, really fun. I was really engaged with it. So this was the last book that I wound up finishing this month. And I wound up, this week, and I wound up giving this book like 4 stars. I really liked it, and I would definitely consider reading more by this author in the future. I thought her handling of LGBTQ relationships was like awesome, and I actually really would recommend this book to my students because I think it explains LGBTQ issues in a really informative way. And then I also wound up, sadly, I did wind up DNFing Small Town Hearts by Lily Valley. Just wasn't the read for me, or wasn't something I was interested in reading. So I did wind up DNFing this. But I also did wind up finishing The Storm Crow by Kayla Josephine, and I actually really love this book. I wound up giving this book like 4 stars. And then I did wind up finishing Geekerella. Yeah, I want to finish reading Geekerella as well. So I actually had a pretty good reading week. Not my best, but not my worst. I actually got a lot more listening done than I was planning. But yeah, definitely enjoyed Tarnish the Stars and really enjoyed Stormcrow. They were very, very strong reads this month or this week, whenever this reading vlog, I think, took place over like a week. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on this reading vlog. I'm shutting this reading vlog down, and I will see you guys for my next reading vlog, hopefully tomorrow. Bye, guys.